Dear viewers, thank you so much for watching. My name is Veronica Rose, and you are most welcome to the Experts Corner. Our special guest today, he's based in Washington, D.C. His name is Stephen Hart, and he's going to share more about himself. Stephen?
Thank you so much for having me, Veronica. So I generally begin every podcast interview I do on my podcast, TrailblazersFM, from a place of gratitude. And I've found that it helps to carry that over into my presentations and conversations, right? Those are no different. So I am grateful to be a proud husband to my wife, Kristen, of 12 years. And together we have two, I consider myself the best dad ever to two amazing crumb snatchers. We have a 10-year-old daughter and a 6-year-old son. Beyond that, I do marketing by day. I'm also a brand strategist, and I've been a podcaster for the past 5 years.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Stephen, for the brief introduction. And you being a brand strategist brings me to asking you this question, that how do you build a dynamic personal brand?
Right.
Yeah.
So, Veronica, the thing I've come across quite frequently is that people automatically hear the term branding and they default to thinking about a logo, right?
Yeah.
And we would never buy land and say we're going to build a house, and the first thing that we go and buy is kitchen cabinets. Just wouldn't happen, right? You begin your brand by building a solid foundation.
Mm-hmm.
And so, building a dynamic brand involves several things. As I just touched on, it involves first and foremost having a solid foundation.
Yeah.
Then you begin looking at what you do to establish a standout, what I call brand identity, the visual elements of the brand.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing is a clear message. Your messaging is equally as important, and I'll touch on that in a second.
Yeah.
Once you have those elements there, the fourth is establishing a credible and a high converting website. And then the last thing is to make sure that your entire digital footprint, all the places that people are going to be able to access information about you online, is cohesive and consistent, so that you appear professional. So again, coming back to it, the first thing, right, is the foundation. And I have this formula that I will share with my clients and say, we need to take care of your A plus MVP. Your A plus MVP. And the A plus MVP represents your audience, your mission, your vision, and the last P, I'll share with you in a second, it represents 4 things. So your audience, all too often I ask people, I might ask you, Veronica, who's your target audience? And, too often people say, everyone. Yeah. Everyone is best served by my product. Yeah. And the truth is, if you're trying to target everyone and you're serving no one in particular, right? So it helps for you to target the resources, the limited, finite resources you have of money and time, to a specific someone, right? Because the way I speak to you in our conversation is different than the way I speak to my mom and the way that I speak to my daughter. 3 different, lines of messaging, even if we're communicating about generally the same thing. So you have to be clear on who it is that you're speaking to, your audience. The second piece here in the MVP is your mission. And your mission focuses on what you're doing right now. It's that short-term goal. And it ties to the vision, which is the focus on a longer-term goal. And the vision, usually I say, let's look out 30 years from now and we're sitting in our rocking chair, relaxing, hopefully on a beach somewhere. What would you have wanted to accomplish in your life? Once you're clear on what that 30-year vision is in a perfect environment, you can backdoor into what you need to do now over the next year to 10 years to be able to make sure that in 30 years, you've accomplished that long-term vision, right? And then the last P is your product, your personality, your profit, and being able to prioritize the things that are most important right now, right? Because we suffer from having, especially as entrepreneurs, we have too many shiny lights, too many ideas, and we never prioritize what needs to happen right now, and then, following that. So the foundation is so important. From there, Veronica, once we've solidified our foundation, then we start looking at our brand identity. And our brand identity encompasses things like your colors, your fonts, now your logo, your photography, and your graphics. And there's so much more, but those 5 components are key. And lots of people will say, well, color, that sounds fluffy. That doesn't sound like it's all that important. But in our global economy, in our global world that we're in, we have to realize that research actually proves this, that people make a subconscious judgment in the first 90 seconds based on color alone. So it is that important to make sure that you establish, a solid color palette, right? And your fonts, it's great to establish a font pairing. Every morning you wake up, whether you're reading a book or reading your Bible, or you're looking at a street sign, or you're looking at your phone, there's a particular style of font that you are seeing tied to whatever brand or platform that you're looking on. And that font style can dictate mood and vibe, and it dictates a lot. So you need to make sure that, again, your colors are consistent, your fonts are consistent. You have those two established. It makes it very easy for a graphic designer to then look at the mood that you're trying to relay to your audience and help you define your logo. And photography is important, as I touched on, right? Making sure that you have great lifestyle photography that supports things that you do, whether it's on your social media or on your website. Having a smiling face on your headshots, right? Just helps to establish you as a professional in whatever way and whatever industry and occupation you're in. And so the third thing that we mentioned is your messaging. And it's important to clarify your message, right? I always say, if you confuse, you lose. So it is important that we write a very clear bio about ourselves, that we describe our product or service. And that product might be a physical product, it might be a digital product, or it might be you, right? So if you are your product, and you are writing a resume and bio, a resume and CV, and it is not clear, are you going to get that opportunity to get to that interview? You're not, right? So it is vital. No one's looking at the branding necessarily in terms of a color and fonts. Fonts may appear on, they will appear on your resume, but more importantly is the message that you're communicating in your copy, right? So being very clear on your messaging is key. Making sure that you're persuasive, making sure that you always have a call to action. What are you asking somebody to do next, right? Whether it's in an email, whether it's in a social media post or on your website, you need to direct that traffic. You need to tell someone what you want them to do, what your offering is, and what you want them to do next to take advantage of that offer. A lot of times I'll jump on a website and I'll read something and I'm like, how do I buy it? What do I do next? And you've not given me a clear pathway to actually do business with you or connect with you. And so you hanging with me so far? We're good?
Yeah, we are.
All right.
Yeah.
So next is, we talked about your foundation. We talked about brand identity. We talked about your messaging. The fourth pillar, if you will, is building a credible and high converting website. Your website is the front door to your online home. It's your digital HQ. You have to, and unlike every other area online, you're in complete control of your website. Any other platform that you build on, if you're building a presence on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or Twitter, those platforms you have no control over. Those people can shut down your account in a moment, and you have nothing. So with your website, you're in complete control. Your competition has them,
Yeah.
So it helps to establish you. And, my wife always say, hey, you're in control of the story you're telling about yourself with your website. So, and it's low hanging fruit. It's relatively a low cost way to get yourself a presence online. Somebody is searching for your name
Yeah.
on Google or on any kind of platform. Um, the results that they find out about you are going to leave them more or less inclined to do business with you or hire. Your website allows you to tell that story about yourself in the way you want it told. And the most important area of that website is your homepage, right? That's generally where a lot of people are going to land.
Yeah.
And again, you just want to make sure everything comes back to all the things I talked about before, now tying to that homepage. Making sure that your colors, your fonts are clear, making sure your logo is present, making sure that your messaging is clear headline, happy faces, your hero shot, that section of your homepage before you scroll the page. That there should be a picture either of you with a smiling face or people that would relay happy customers taking advantage of your offering, right? And again, making sure that there's a clear call to action. What are you telling people that you want them to do and how you want them to connect with you? What's the next step that you want them to take? And so once you have that website complete, now we wrap it up and we have a cohesive digital footprint. All of your presence on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I'm going anywhere to learn about you and I'm seeing the same colors, the same fonts, the same messaging. And I'm like, you know what? Veronica is so polished. She has everything tied together. She's thought this thing through. And you immediately at that point stand out ahead of a good portion of the other people, right? That stand in your crowd. So you can begin to drive traffic at that point through your social and through your website, build that awareness, engage a base of an audience that you're trying to connect with, and convert those people into paid customers.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for explaining all that in depth. And just to wind up, I recently watched one of your videos, and there is something here is mentioned about finding the inches. Yeah, those little things you do that only you can do, and others will find it hard to duplicate. So, would you be having any comments on the same?
Yes. So this was what we call an ism that I first read about from Dan Gilbert. He's a CEO of Quicken Loans.
Yeah.
And the whole idea to find your inches is that if you're doing one thing better than your competition, it becomes fairly easy for your competitor to level the playing field. You just have to duplicate and optimize that one thing.
Yeah.
But if we can create and begin to define, thousands of little things that differentiate us and separate us and set us apart and make us unique, we are going to become virtually impossible to imitate and replicate. And we call those thousands of little things inches. And so the challenge to your listeners and viewers is to find your inches. What are those things that you can do, that only you can do, and bring to the world, right? That separate you, that help you to stand out from the crowd. So go out and find your inches.
Oh, yeah. Thank you. To my viewers, you've heard, go and find your inches. So, Stephen, thank you so much for joining me today. Where should my viewers find you?
Absolutely. You can find me online at stevenahart.com. And I'm also accessible on social platforms on Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. You can find me at Stephen A. Hart. And I just wanted to offer something to your listeners. I have an online course called Brand You Academy.
Yes.
And if any of your listeners or viewers would want to take advantage of the course, I'll offer an exclusive discount to your group using the coupon code EncryptAfrica200 to get a $200 discount.
Wow. Thank you so much, David. This is awesome.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I hope my viewers will take it up and grab this opportunity as well. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and to our viewers, thank you so much for watching. Hit the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on more of these upcoming sessions. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.